The Carolina
David
Hurricanes.
That was funny.
Another dominant
Get it
season
away.
last year, but you couldn't get it done in the second round, allowing the second place Rangers to slip past 116 points. They were the division winners. Jesse, what are the odds, the over-under odds at sportsinteraction.com/SDPN?
Expecting a little bit of a regression. 102.5.
What? Over
is
on
the
that.
over-under.
The Carolina
Over.
Hurricanes?
The betting market is expecting a bit of a regression.
That is-
102.5.
That is bananas. BANANAS.
Are you? Please double check that.
You're looking at it with your eyes.
With the website. Take it.
I'm putting
That's
it.
an easy.
It's on the screen again. 102.5 is
That's
the
an easy one.
over-under.
I am going to steal the sponsor's money.
Take that bet all day.
Okay.
Now, they made some incredible moves this offseason. Pacharetti and Brent Burns for essentially nothing. They did lose Vinny Trocheck and Nino Niederreiter.
Both of those hurt.
They do hurt, but again, like I said, Patches and Burns for nothing. Don Waddell continues to be my favorite GM. And by the way, he also got a drama-free season, which is shocking, out of Tony DeAngelo, and then traded him for picks. Valuable picks.
Oh, that trade, I came across it in my research for this piece. And man, I was going to say if Don Waddell calls, don't answer it. That's not true. If you're Chuck Fletcher, throw your phone in the lake. That's what it is. What do you...
No, Don Waddell...
No, he's good. But also, what are you doing? Brent Burns replaces Tony DeAngelo, and they...
Both kind of defensive liabilities, but great on the offensive side.
That's basically it. And right-handed shots, and they can excel on the power play, et cetera, except one is enormous and generally well-liked. And Carolina got that one. So
I think that'll work out for them.
I do. I think that'll go really well. And in terms of the losses, with Niederreiter and Trocheck, they have to simply hope. And this is a good bet when you have young players and you lock them up to big money, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. You have to expect that they'll improve. So that lies on Martin Necas, and it lies on Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
Let's talk about Max Pacioretty for a second. The other thing, before we get into Necas and some of those other players you mentioned. When he plays, he's a point-a-game player, especially in the last 4 years in Vegas. He started there, 66 games, 40 points. Then 71 the next year, 66 points. Then the last 2 years, 48 games, 51 points, 39 games last year, and 37 points. This guy's a top-line guy. When he is healthy, he is a top-line player, and they got him for absolutely nothing. What does he bring to the Canes that they didn't have?
They got him for less than nothing, actually.
He brings nothing because he's not going to be playing.
Well, no, he's not out for the whole year.
February 20th is when he said he'd be back.
The trade deadline. He is going to be there for free trade deadline acquisition. And if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, do you need to worry about making the playoffs? No. You're going to sleepwalk to a playoff spot. Their concern is success in the playoffs, and Pacharetti will help with that because at the trade deadline, they can go out and get someone, and then they're also going to get this guy who they already got for less than free. They got him for less than free.
You can turn those DeAngelo picks into somebody you get at the deadline.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. One of them is a second. Please, someone steal Chuck Fletcher's phone on second thought. Don't. It's too funny. But Dylan Coughlin, who was in this trade with Pacharetti, is going to make an impact on the Hurricanes before Pacharetti does. And I kind of feel like the Hurricanes are just going to quietly go about their business this year, win a bunch of games, be first, at worst second, in the division for most of the season. And then sometime during the snow, we're going to be like, oh, right. They also have one of the most consistent goal scorers of the last 10 years.
It's a little unfair, isn't it?
It's a lot unfair.
Who's the standout on defense?
Slavin.
All of them.
Jacob Slavin?
Slavin.
That's it?
Well, I
And
mean,
then
Pesci's
we're like,
good,
oh,
too.
we got Brett Pesci and fucking
Brady
Ethan Bear.
Shea's good. I mean, but
Bear's good.
Slavin is, a couple years ago, they were talking like Norris Trophy.
Yeah, Lady Bing. It's a very important thing. Doesn't take penalties.
That's
Difficult for a defenseman. No, they play smart team defense. They're a team, a rare example of forwards who make the defense's job easier. in the defensive zone, not just by scoring a butt ton of goals, but they can also score a butt ton of goals, and they're 3 goalies deep.
Can I ask you the most important question?
Yeah.
Can Frederick Anderson stay healthy when the games matter most? Because he has never been able to do that.
It's up to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Why is that?
It's up to the Carolina Hurricanes because when Frederick Anderson got hurt, I was heartbroken for him. But then I looked at the games played total, and he was on pace to play, I think it was 55, 56, 7 games. They were en route to making the same mistake. Oh, well, he's playing like a Vezina caliber goal. Who cares? Who cares? You are the Carolina Hurricanes. You're better than that conversation. Playoff success. That's what it's all about. Don't exhaust your goalie. Now, Antti Ranta was hurt. Pavel Kochetkov wasn't there yet. He's there now. So if you need someone to take games because Freddie's hurt or Ranta's hurt, Kochetkov gets in there.
There you go. The thing I like about the
I was
Hurricanes.
holding in a cough.
That's okay.
Entire rant.
The thing I love about the Carolina Hurricanes the most, I think, obviously you've got Sebastian Aho, obviously you've got Seth Jarvis, and I'll get to a question mark, but something I really, really like is their
Sophomore
depth.
Seth Jarvis. Oh boy.
Yeah. Could have been a Leaf, Seth Jarvis.
No, stop it.
I love their depth. Jordan Stahl, Paul Stastny, Martin Necas, excuse me. I also like Andre Kasha. He played great in Toronto when he was playing last year.
It's such a shame, man.
It's a bummer. And they've got him slotted in as like the 4th line right wing. That's not bad at all. And that's a guy that can play up on the second line. We saw it last year. He played great.
It's so mean and unnecessary.
It is. The one question I have, Vinny Trocheck was such a huge part of this team. And I wonder, is Jesperi Kotkaniemi with Niederreiter and Trocheck gone, ready to take that second line center and really run with it? Because, I mean, he was the anointed one in Montreal until he wasn't, right? His first year, everybody's like, well, he's better than Matthews. And then he wasn't that good. He was good, but he wasn't great. He signs the RFA. He comes to Carolina. Is he the guy they're hoping that he would be?
Well, we were talking about the over-under. This is where they might lose some points. But with a young team, and Carolina is committed to these young players, I've told the story before, but I think it's a Leafs story that applies to the Carolina Hurricanes. Mm-hmm. When I was at Leafs TV, they needed me to shoot Leafs practice, and they handed me a camera, and they said, do you know what to do with this? And I said, no. And they said, well, there's only one way to learn, and then they put it in my hands. But you know how that story ends? I did a terrible job. I did a genuinely terrible job. They couldn't use most of the footage. I did a really bad job. But I eventually...
Because you're not a cameraman.
No.
But you got better.
But I got better, and I learned how to do an adequate job.
Okay.
So they're going to throw these young players, Seth Jarvis, Martin Necas, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, into the pool, and hopefully they swim. Because it's the only way they're going to learn.
Well, Kotkaniemi's got a big old extension, too. We forget, he's only 22 years old.
They gave him that money before he did anything, and it was very shocking.
It's an odd one.
Yeah, but it was funny.
It was.
Twitter account got a couple laughs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah, there is. The other thing I want to ask is Antti Ranta. We saw flashes of old Antti Ranta, and I don't expect him to be Rangers Antti Ranta.
He was fantastic in the playoffs. I don't know if you have his numbers up, but
I can pull him up.
He was like a 922, if I remember correctly. I was looking at it earlier. During like 12 games in the playoffs.
That is exactly what he was.
Antti Ranta showed up.
922, and he was only 6-5. How is that possible?
So
man, he was good.
I don't really know if you can blame it on goaltending.
No,
I'm not even going to say lack of success. They
ran into the Rangers.
Well, and they have a second round hump, which the Colorado Avalanche also had up until last year before they cruised over the bump at 100 miles an hour and won the Stanley Cup.
Second round hump. I wonder what that's like.
Who wouldn't love a second round hump? No, sorry. Why did I didn't need to.
You didn't need to
stare
make it
down the barrel of the camera and
didn't need to do that. But anyway, are they a division winning team again this year? Jesse Blake, where do you have them?
This is a very good hockey team, top to bottom. There are really no flaws in the Carolina Hurricanes. I think they finished second in the division.
Ooh, Stephen A. Dangle.
I have them also finishing second, plus a spot. I have them finishing in first.
You got them top two, but they're not two.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
I also have them in first place. We'll see what happens with the Carolina Hurricanes. I suspect I know who Jesse's got at number 1.
I don't.